Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Wednesday night. Hope everybody's having a great evening so far. Thanks for hanging out with us as we do every Sunday through Thursday night here on the Prime Time Show. We got OTAs to talk about, and further entrenching me in my position, the Ryan Tannehill is the quarterback for this team in 2023, barring disaster in 2023. This man is going to be your starting quarterback. And it's not just because the one day that media was allowed out this week that Malik and Levis struggled. There's a couple of different factors that come into play, but obviously given what we just saw on the field today, there is further evidence to that effect. So we're going to get into that. You're going to hear from Will Levis and Mike Vrabel. We'll talk about fanatical behavior, because I think Titans fans are some of the most self-loathing people I have ever encountered. And I don't know if there is a more self-loathing fan base than the Tennessee Titans fans. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about you guys later on in the show. Directly to you. It's rare. I break down your favorite football team all the time, but now I'm going to break down you. I don't know if you're going to enjoy that experience or not, but we'll get to that in the second segment then, because it's a Wednesday rising and falling, as is the custom at the end of the show. Before we get started, need you guys to share this broadcast around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch, if you would be so kind. If you're hanging out with us on Twitter, please retweet the show. Bottom right-hand corner of your screen is where you do it. Facebook Live, you can share now to public. That's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. If you are on YouTube or Twitch, like Alex M, or who else is on YouTube? We got Chill Mode, we got Stephen King, got all kinds of people on YouTube. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure that you have told your friends to do the same. B French says, you don't want war tonight, Buck. I'm on my game. Listen, the thing that you know about me, we have been doing this show together, you and I, 4 years at this point. After 4 years together, I would think that Stephen, or B French, or whomever would say that I don't want war, is that I always want war. I thrive on it. It is the thing that sustains me. So I want war, and I'm going to get it when I get to you guys later on in the show. But let's go ahead and get this thing started. Welcome in A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Superbook Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising. I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by True Math Fitness in the Gulch. You guys know I love my 8 a.m. workouts at True Math Fitness. You can get your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident at TrueMathFitness.com. I'll be there at 8 a.m. I hope to see some of you guys there for your first workout. Gary Ashton and the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Go to the Ashton team for your dream address without the stress, and don't sell without the intel that only the Ashton team can provide. Superbook Sports. Download the app today. Plug in the promo code ATOZ, and they will match your first bet up to $250. That's the Superbook Sports app in your favorite app store, Android or Apple. So we have OTA practice today to work with, and we have a lot of different observations to make. I think that when you look at all the different things that people are interested in, the quarterbacks are always going to grab the most attention. I'm sure some of you are tired of talking about the quarterbacks. I'm sure Mike Vrabel is tired of talking about the quarterbacks, especially since none of this shit is real football at this point in time. So looking at what happened with Will Levis today, and you're going to hear from him, you're going to hear from Mike Vrabel. He didn't have a good day. Neither him nor Malik Willis had a good day. I didn't think they were accurate. I thought their ball placement was not what it needed to be. I thought there was indecision from both of them. I thought that there's a lot of evidence to suggest that Ryan Tannehill's job is in no way, shape, or form in danger by any stretch of the imagination. Now, the sensible ones of you knew this. Like, this was not something that was ever really in debate. To start the 2023 season, Ryan Tannehill is going to be under center. If that changes at some point in 2023, then we can talk about it. But for the foreseeable future, there is no quarterback competition in Tennessee. There's Tannehill, and then there's everything else behind it. Eric Alonzo says, Buck can't wait for Malik to have a bad day. Well, I didn't have to wait. He had a bad day. So did Will Levis. I'm here to talk about them both. And I'm here to tell you more than anything that it's not necessarily, I could give a shit how the two of them look this year on the practice field. I don't care. I mean, I care a little bit, but I don't really care. The only thing I care about, if I'm somebody who's interested in the competitiveness of this football team, is Ryan Tannehill. The rest of it doesn't matter because they can only play one quarterback at any given time, even though Todd Downing tried his best to get Malik Willis out there on the field at the same time as Tannehill. But obviously, there's some things to work through. So, given that we only have access to 1 day of practice a week at this time of year, they're on the field 3 days a week right now. So they have had in total, not including like meeting days and stuff where they're just coming in and like lifting and stuff like that of practice. They've only done or will have done by the end of this week 9 total OTA practices. Of the 9, we have seen 1/3. We have only seen 3 in total, right? So looking at the sample size that we're out there for, Will Levis and Malik Willis could have had spectacular days yesterday. They could have tremendous days tomorrow. All the mistakes that we saw made today from the two of them, they could rectify by tomorrow's practice, and we would have no idea, right? Because we're not out there. So I want to make sure that I preface that before we do your Two Rivers Ford take. And I'm going to get into what does a bad day consist of. I'm going to get into that here in just a second. And by the way, I'm not necessarily going to call it a bad day because I'm going to put it in the context that Mike Vrabel put it in today. And then I'll let you understand kind of why I'm making the assessment that I am. So we'll get to that here in just a second. Let's start with your Two Rivers Ford take on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch, as is the custom. You guys let me know in the comment section, how should fans process Will Levis's OTA struggles? So it's just today that we're talking about, although he wasn't any kind of special when we were out there last week. I thought he was fine. I thought there were some of the same inaccuracy situations that I saw today. Some of the same things that we've been talking about with him throughout the course of the whole reason why he's a difficult analysis or a difficult subject to analyze, right? Because Will Levis has these erratic tendencies, even though he puts together strings on tape of obviously the 2021 season in its entirety, where he looks phenomenal. And I'm sure there will be moments when we're out there for more practices, when we see him get more live reps. And by the way, he's not doing a ton of reps right now. That's also something to keep in mind. So with all of that context being said, we're not here to freak out. We're just here to talk about what we saw today specifically, and why it further entrenches me in my position that Ryan Tannehill is the Titans' clear-cut starter, bar none. So how should fans process Will Levis's OTA struggles? Because it was an OTA, not OTAs plural. We'll talk about it together. You'll hear from Will Levis and Mike Vrabel right after I remind you that your Two Rivers Ford take is, of course, made possible by the beautiful people at Two Rivers Ford. Not just beautiful people, beautiful cars. 2023 model year Fords, the Ford Bronco. It's a beautiful vehicle. I'm biased, but I think my 2022 Ford Explorer that I got from Two Rivers Ford is chef's kiss. I love Sugar. She's a dream. All kind of great vehicles out there, new or pre-owned. If you want to custom order yours like I did, you can select any Ford vehicle, any customizable accessories in any color you want, and they will custom order it and deliver it to your door. It's like an Amazon package, except it was a car. That's how I got my Ford from Two Rivers Ford. You can shop however you want to shop at Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. So how should fans process Will Levis's and Malik Willis's, by the way? This can be applicable to both of them. How should you process their struggles at this time of year? Now, obviously you're grading on different scales, right? They're not on equal footing because one has been in the NFL for a year and the other one just got here, right? And we understand that there are significant struggles to a rookie season that are abnormal compared to what the rest of their NFL careers will be for the most part. With all the different things and all of the new experiences and all of it's moving very, very fast, and you've got all new teammates and you've got all new coaches and you're in an all new place, and you're hoping to God that you didn't get drafted to some hellscape like Green Bay, Wisconsin or something like that, right? It's all a bit of a blur. So I think that when you look at the struggles for these two young quarterbacks, Maserati Mac gives the correct assessment. It's OTAs, G's. Will Levis struggling. Malik Willis, I don't even want to call it like struggling, almost seems to be too harsh a term. Now, Will Levis was clearly frustrated today. In fact, I'm going to let you hear from Will Levis first because practice ended on a botched snap. Will Levis botched the snap. He tripped over the center's legs. He almost took his helmet off and slammed it down in frustration, but you could see him stop himself and then was clearly frustrated on the sideline afterwards. And that was the last play of practice today. It was Levis on the field with the threes. And, they had the botched quarterback center exchange, right? And so he's frustrated. And that's completely normal. He didn't look great today. I think that's also completely normal. I think it's completely normal for Malik to not look as good as you might expect a second-year player to, because I think I'm grading Malik on an almost completely different curve. I have way more grace with Malik Willis than I do any other player on this roster. And I know some of you might not think that's true because I am, I try to be fairly blunt about all of these guys in my analysis. And try to be fair in the way that I go about processing all the different things that I'm seeing alongside all the different people that I'm talking to and obviously talking to the players themselves. But I think that Malik, because he had so much further to go from where he came from at Liberty, that I think I have more grace for that guy than any person on this roster. It's just unfortunate for him that he was thrust into the spotlight far beyond when he was ready, and he may not still be ready. It's entirely possible. We don't know how much progress, truly progress, he'll have made until we start to see this in preseason games. And really, if he makes it to the regular season on this roster, I don't know that I would be able to give you an accurate assessment of Malik Willis until I see him play in like an actual NFL game again. It's tough. So I think that the way to process these things, I want you to listen to Will Levis, because I think Will Levis had a good attitude about this, and I don't think anybody caught up with Malik today. But Levis was one of the players who we spoke to, and this was him on his mistakes.
Try to compose myself a little bit. I know that, I got more opportunities tomorrow and the next day, so I'm not going to beat myself up about it too much.
How hard are you on yourself when you watch film of a practice to see this went well or this didn't go well?
Very. I think to have high standards is the name of the game. It's not to beat yourself up, but it's just to give yourself motivation to go out there and to perform to the best of your ability. And when you don't do that, it puts in the back of your mind, and hopefully next time a situation like that comes up, you're able to capitalize.
It seems like whenever it's time to really let it rip, you can make all of those throws. As far as the accuracy, that's something that may be able to get better. What are some things that you've done to try to improve in that area?
Just continue to work on it. The pre-draft training that I did, I think helped me a lot with that. I think my accuracy's improved a heck of a lot today. Had some inaccuracy on a couple of throws, but that's going to happen regardless of how good you are. Just trying to eliminate those, but it's part of our games that we're never going to perfect, that we can always just keep striving to get better at. But the guys here have helped me a lot with it too, and it's not just a matter of my accuracy, but it's a matter of being a good teammate and being on the same page with all the receivers. So getting that chemistry down with everybody, knowing that they're going to be in the spots that we're expecting them to be, and just keep working on that.
When you have the big fastball like you do, how hard is it on some throws to have to take something off of it in order to make the touch pass that you need to sometimes?
It's definitely like the delivery changes a little bit. Like there's times when you're in that tight pocket and you really have to be compact and just be whippy and have those types of just throws that just jump out. But then when you have the time and you have the rhythm, that's when you can slow it down and you can get those balls out on a more rhythmic pace with some touch on it. And I think I've definitely gotten better at that, but it's a continuation to keep working on those types of throws.
So that's Will Levis. And, I thought he handled it fine, right? And listen, there's a variety of different ways that any player can compose themselves. And by the way, I don't think him showing frustration on the practice field is wrong by any stretch of the imagination. Like if he has slammed his helmet down and been pissy about it, I wouldn't have blamed him. It's a bad play to end practice. And you want him to take it seriously, but you don't want him to get so wound tight. Any of them, Malik, Will, Tannehill, like if they make mistakes, you don't want them to get so wound up or so tightly wound within themselves that it inhibits how well they're able to play, right? You want them to play fast. You want them to play loose. You want them to play comfortably. comfortable within what they're being asked to do. All of those things are applicable in this situation. Now what we have so like somebody asked me today, what does a bad day look like? And I'll get into that here in just a second, because you have to remember that there's restrictions on what we're able to report at this time of year, and I'll explain what those restrictions are here in just a second. You're also going to hear from Mike Vrabel right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is presented by True Mav Fitness in the Gulch. I love the workout program at True Mav. I love the coaching staff. I love the facility at True Mav, not just because it's convenient. I live downtown. They're conveniently located in downtown Nashville in the Gulch. It is the best workout possible. True Mav Fitness, whether it's the group classes, the personal training, just to go and use their open gym if you want to sign up for a membership option, True Mav Fitness has it all, and they are ready to get you on your fitness journey. They helped me lose 54 pounds. Could not be more grateful for the great crew at True Mav Fitness. Your first workout is free at truemavfitness.com today. So how should fans process what they are seeing or what they're not seeing, right? You guys don't get to see OTAs other than what we put out on social media. What we are able to put out on social media is, I would say, 1/10 of what we actually see out there. We are even further restricted from being able to report on the rest of the 90% that we see, because you can't talk about, like, I can't say, and I'm going to use a hypothetical, I'll use old players for an example. If I see Marcus Mariota hit Tajay Sharp on a slant pattern and Sharp takes it for 50 yards and a score with, who's an old corner, Parrish Cox in coverage, right? So I've used all different names. I can't tell you that if that's what I saw on the practice field, right? Because there are restrictions at this time on our reporting, and that those are NFL rules. It's not Titans rules. It's not like media rules. It's just there are restrictions on what we're allowed to say. I can say that Ryan Tannehill had a good day and Will Levis struggled. I can tell you that there were not a lot of defensive backs out there today, but somebody who's getting plenty of work at both safety and corner is Elijah Molden. I can only tell you that Elijah Molden is working at safety because I saw it and then asked him a question about it. And because he said it, that then gives me license to tell you. Corey D. Jackson says Valentino Blake. Valentino was on the roster when I first got here. It's crazy how bad that corner, that whole team, my first year. 2015 is the worst football team I've ever seen in my life, regardless of, Titans, Colts, Jags, Texans. Like, it's the worst football team I've ever seen, the 2015 Titans. And the 2015 Titans, no, that was was it 16 or 17 that they beat the winless Browns without scoring a touchdown? It was a 12-9 overtime field goal game. Oof, absolute brutal. But I think that when you look at what defines a good day right now for the quarterbacks, what defines a bad day for the quarterbacks, what I can tell you is this: Will Levis and Malik Willis both struggled with their accuracy. They both struggled operationally, and that is okay. That's the thing. Like, none of this shit is stuff to freak out about. And I know that is, people are going to have opinions, and the opinions that are formulated at this time of year are always hyperbolic. Like, even me coming in and saying that Will Levis or Malik Willis had a bad day is hyperbolic. Do you know why? Because that's not the way the coaching staff looks at it. I asked Mike Vrabel this question within the context of, like, younger players and trying to get them to not overthink things, right? Trying to get them relaxed, comfortable, not thinking too much, because in professional sports, if you overthink, it can legitimately slow you down. It's not, just like a dumb jock thing. It's just, no, your processing ability for what it is that you need to do needs to be at its peak. It needs to be reactionary. It needs to be instinctive. And that at its peak, right, is where you see the height of professional athletes come through. So I asked Mike Vrabel about, all right, how do you get guys outside of their own heads, right? And this is what Vrabel had to say today.
4 weeks of on-field stuff that would somehow, at times, look like football, and really trying to stick with the installation, first, second down, add third down, work into the red zone. Same thing kind of with special teams. So nothing's really going to change. I think it's just about improvement. It's about conditioning and about all those fundamentals that we're going to need to use once we get to the season.
It's probably more specific to the individual, but how do you keep young guys from overthinking things when they're out there trying to execute on the field, trying to get it as best as they can?
Well, again, we've tried to talk to them and everybody around here that continue to coach the mistakes, but demand the effort. And we understand that mistakes are going to happen. You just can't stand there. We have to train them out of that. And, hopefully that they're new mistakes and that they're the reasons that they can answer why maybe the mistake came, and that, or they just need to get it again, in an installation or a walkthrough. So we'll just have to work through those different things and kind of take each of them as they come up.
New mistakes. New mistakes is the key word there. They want them to make mistakes at this time of year. There's no better place for them to make mistakes than on the practice field. Do you know why? Because it doesn't impact their win-loss record, doesn't impact their playoff standing, doesn't impact the coaching staff's jobs necessarily until they actually do get on the field. But I would say more than anything that the new mistakes are fine as long as they're making new mistakes. And you know what I saw today? And again, there are 3 practices that have been open out of a possible 9. So it's a very small sample size, literally a third of what we have access to, or what we are seeing, a third of what is going on, right? So it's not the full picture, which is something that I think people lose sight of, right? We don't get to be out there every day. We don't get to tell you what's going on every day. So the one day that we do, if they have a bad day, it sucks for them because obviously we're going to talk about their bad day. So new mistakes, right? The operational situation, the tripping over the center while he's working under center. Speaking about Levis specifically, I'm still seeing Malik Willis struggle with ball placement. That's not a new mistake, but whether that's something that he's seeing, maybe that's a new mistake. Maybe it's the particular whatever he was doing at the line of scrimmage before they got there. Maybe he misread the route. Something happened, right? As long as it's a new mistake, then the coaching staff is good because then they can identify, okay, well, you weren't making the same mistake. 1, that's good. You've learned. 2, if you're making a new mistake, what are you seeing what do you think you're seeing that caused you to make that mistake? And better 3, can you identify that mistake in real time? We're going to get into this because I'm going a little long here. So I want to make sure that we let you know who the Primetime Show is presented by. Of course, it's presented by the great folks at the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Go to GaryAshton.com for your dream address without the stress. The Ashton team will put you in position to succeed at GaryAshton.com. Nobody has better intel. Nobody has better properties than the great folks at Gary Ashton, the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage, the team that your favorite teams trust. Don't sell without the intel if you are in the market to do so without the intel edge. So looking at the quarterback situation, any of these guys, right? It could be obviously we're watching the quarterbacks the most. All 3 quarterbacks are out there. You can't say that of every position group. Quarterbacks are always going to be the headline. Quarterbacks are the thing that most people are interested in. Quarterbacks are the thing that I know I'm going to get the most questions about when I do prime time, get on Twitter, host the radio show, do the 615 Sessions podcast tomorrow. By the way, we're going to do it with Rhett Bryan, executive producer of Titans Radio. That'll be a good time because Rhett's been talking to a lot of the undrafted guys that he thinks has a chance to make this roster. So it'll be a good time to go over what we're seeing at OTAs, and Rhett will put it in good context and also provide you some information. I will say this, though, of the quarterback circumstances. One bad OTA or one, rough OTA. I hesitate to even use the word bad, right? Because I don't think that it's bad. I think that it's good. I think that the mistakes that are being made, as long as they are able to correct them, and we don't know if they're going to be able to correct them to a degree, but as long as the coaching staff is seeing new mistakes the way that Mike Vrabel mentioned, I think that sloppy OTA practices or tough OTA practices or rough OTA practices, all these different things, I think that's fine. I think that's completely fine. Dr. Lipschitz says, I'm sick of seeing the quarterback standing around. Practice without pads should be nonstop. According to who? What do you mean? Practice should be nonstop. Do you not see again, you are using the context of what you see on video. You're not out there on the practice field. You don't know the pace that they run practice. Occasionally, yes, the quarterbacks are standing and looking at something. Occasionally, there are things that are being diagnosed and explained to them by the coaching staff where they have to stand still. Occasionally, they are in a position where they just need to pause, take a beat, and go over what the hell they just did. Of course, the idea of practice without pads should be nonstop. In what world you could go around 32 NFL training camps, OTAs, or not training camps, but OTAs, look around and see a much, much, much less, what's the word that I'm looking for? Intense OTA practice. Have you not heard all the new players who've been talking about how much different things are done here in Tennessee than they are anywhere else in the league? Did you not hear Arden Key at the podium today? Did you not hear Azeez Al-Shaair laugh, scoff at the idea they're doing sleds in May? Pads, practice without pads should be nonstop. I don't understand who, according to whom, for what? If they don't have pads on, they're already doing the conditioning. We don't have access to the conditioning. If I took a bunch of videos of their sled drills while they're doing them, one, Mike Rabel would toss my happy ass out of the bubble. But two, you would probably think that it's the worst shit you've ever seen in the world. The professional athletes are telling you it's different than Jacksonville, Arden Key says. It's different than San Francisco, according to Brunskill and Al-Shaair. It's different than Tampa Bay, according to Sean Murphy-Bunting. It's just nonsense. Just complete nonsense to get out there and say practice without pads should be nonstop just because you saw one Twitter video that was 15 seconds long of quarterbacks standing around before one of them threw a pass. That's stupid. I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm saying that is the opinion of somebody who I would assume knows better than I'm giving you credit for. Because of course, that's nonsensical. Trippin' Titan says, sleds in May? You need snow for sleds, don't you? That's crazy. Yes, indeed. Actually, the video hasn't come out yet. We haven't seen the podium. Oh, they've been bad about the podium videos this year. And I only know that because sometimes I'll go back through. I don't take a tape recorder around with me anymore. Maybe I should, because they're not posting the videos in a timely fashion, so I can't go back and literally watch the tape of the press conference that I was just in, because just I'm sitting there, I'm asking questions, but sometimes I miss questions too. Sometimes I miss answers because I'm trying to tweet, take a video, all these different things. Either way, Jags Got Juice says Arden Key is a rat. The Micah Bell of the NFL. Who's Micah Bell? That name sounds familiar. I feel like I should know that. Either way, if Arden Key is a rat, then what is your organization? Because they didn't pay the rat, in your words, what he's worth. Assuming that Jags Got Juice is a Jags fan. It's like calling Danico Autry a rat because he took a contract offer that the Colts didn't give him. You know who gave him the contract? The Titans. Not Arden Key's fault that somebody else offered him money. It's not Arden Key's fault that he was valued more elsewhere. I don't think that the Jags are a better football team without Arden Key. I think they've added a lot of better pieces and parts, but I don't think their pass rush is better without Arden Key at this stage. I think that there's but it always is interesting to see how these things go. Jags Got Juice says he said he hates the Titans. Well, sure, he played for the Jags. What do you want him to say? You want him to say that he likes the Colts and that he plays for the Titans? Of course not. That's nonsense. That's just I think fan coping when a player leaves and somebody like Arden Key, who said he felt disrespected by not getting a contract offer there. Yeah. What'll make you change your mind about something you hate? Money. You know what the answer to all your questions is? Money. In any facet of life, professional sports, business, anything. The answer to all of your questions forever and ever, amen, is money. So yeah, he might have hated that shit last year. Then they gave him $21 million. And you know what he said? I love it here. This is the perfect fit for me. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's talk about fanatical behavior. I don't think rising and falling is something we necessarily need to spend a bunch of time on tonight. But I do what's the most self-loathing fan base in the NFL? That's the question that I got for you on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. So if you don't know what self-loathing is, fans who seem to be self-deprecation is different, right? Self-deprecation is making jokes about yourself to either make yourself more comfortable or make yourself seem less, I don't know, to try and put yourself in better favor with the people that you're around is to be self-deprecating. Like if I come on here and say, oh, you guys don't care what I have to say because I'm just a douchebag, right? Like that's self-deprecation. Now that might also be true because one, that's factually accurate. I probably am a bit of a D-bag on a regular basis. Nobody is disputing that. Neither am I. And two, sometimes you guys may not give a shit about what I have to say on that particular day. That's fine too. There's a difference between self-deprecation and self-loathing, right? Self-loathing is infighting. I think that there are fan bases in the NFL that fight amongst themselves more than any other group of fans I've seen out there. So I want to know who you think the most self-loathing fan base is. Self-loathing can manifest itself in many ways, right? So let's use an example. Lions fans. Lions fans never think they're going to win anything. Why? Because they've never won anything of consequence ever. Like I think they have one playoff game. They've been to a playoff game in the last, like, it's something obscene. It's something like 20 years since they've won a playoff game. It might even be longer than that. The Jets are a self-loathing fan base, right? Who is the most self-loathing fan base, though? We'll talk about it together right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is made possible by Superbook Sports. Download the Superbook app, and they will match your first bet up to $250 with the promo code ATOZ. Promo code ATOZ. That's A2Z to get in on all the action. The Superbook Sports app is where you can go to wager on the NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup Final, all your favorite major sports available in the Superbook Sports app. So download the app today. Go to superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. So who's the most self-loathing fan base in the NFL, according to you guys? Now, I'm assuming that the vast majority of you are Titans fans, and so you may self-nominate at that point. I think there's a few fan bases who fit this classification. Billy Mann says the most. Good question. Jags got juice, says Chicago. I think Chicago Bears fans have hated themselves almost as much as Aaron Rodgers hates them, right? There is a degree of self-loathing. Now, from my perspective, and I'm going to tell you straight up, there's no way for me to be unbiased about this opinion. And I will tell you why. The only team that I have ever covered in my professional career as a day-to-day, writer, reporter, now talk show host, all these things, Titans, right? I don't know if the Titans are the most Titans fans. I don't know if you guys are the most self-loathing fans of all fan bases, right? Cowboys fans are crazy. Browns fans have no reason to do anything but hate themselves at this stage. The Bills have stuff like the Four Falls of Buffalo, right? Every fan base has something that they can cling to. Every team, every fan has a degree of self-loathing to them. So you could theoretically nominate all 32 teams. But the amount of infighting I see with Titans fans is insane to me. Now, maybe just because I'm exposed to a lot of it, right? A lot of times you guys are tagging me in your arguments among yourselves, or you're fighting with each other in a tweet that I've put out or something like that, or one of the Titans media members is putting out. I think that a lot of these times, most of you are probably saying the same thing. You're just not reading each other's tweets and just arguing about it because you've seen buzzwords that you don't like, or you're still fighting against the initial opinion. It's fascinating to see how those things play out. But I think of all the fan bases, man, I would have to think that the Lions are up there, right? It's a loser franchise. It's again, it's a team that is mired in mediocrity. The best thing that they've had is like this past season where Dan Campbell is biting the occasional kneecap and they still don't make the playoffs. I think that a lot of these things, come into play, and every fan base has a pinpoint moment, right, where they can cite self-loathing. Commanders fans, right? Commanders fans have been through a bunch of shit. It's not the same. These situations aren't the same, but there is a lot of infighting among Titans fans. And that's all, I mean, that's just been my biggest observation. And it's been reinforced by people who aren't here every day. Like, and I won't name any names, but friend of mine that works for ESPN, and I've got a bunch. Friend of mine that works for ESPN, does television for ESPN, said that one time they said just said the name of Marcus Mariota on television, and the amount of bullshit in their mentions, because there was some analysis of Marcus Mariota, and Marcus Mariota is such a polarizing figure, still inexplicably. I mean, we are 4 years. We're 4 years removed from Marcus Mariota being the quarterback of this team. Said that my friend at ESPN said that they said Marcus Mariota's name is a part of the analysis, and immediately Titans fans attacking them on a regular basis. It is insane. In fact, I've had it told to me by several friends of mine in national media, not just at ESPN, but NFL Network and other outlets. The Titans fans are some of the nastiest mother bleepers that are out there, just because they're going to say mean shit to you. It's not even about like an argument. It's not even about a spirited debate. They're just going to say mean things. Like there does seem to be a personal offense that Titans fans do take in ways that I can't explain. I can't explain the psychology of it. I wish somebody could. I wish somebody could explain it to me. Jonathan Hernandez says Buck is like a babysitter trying to keep us behaving. No, in fact, I encourage you guys to do silly shit on the internet. It makes me laugh. Why would I try and babysit you? Now, every once in a while, one of you is gonna, try and come at me, and then I just gotta, it's like whack-a-mole, just hit him with the hammer on social media or something like that, and then life keeps going on, like today. Like today, you guys know I love you. You guys know I don't have a career without you. Of course, this is so. So when I say this, it comes from a place of love. But today, I had the single dumbest argument posed to me by one of you guys. Not necessarily one of you guys in the chat, but somebody who follows me on Twitter and was obviously reacting to some of the Titans discussion, tweeted me today on my analysis that both Malik Willis and Will Levis did not have their best performance. And I'll read you the exact tweet. Shaky day for QBs not named Ryan Tannehill. Both Levis and Willis struggling with ball placement. Not anything inflammatory. Not anything that was, out of bounds. Then I get tweets. I get tweets like this that, again, are inexplicable to me. Jeeper is the name on Twitter, says, I haven't forgotten Tannehill's bad ball placement versus the Bengals, to which I said there's not a dumber argument in football right now than Titans fans having anti-Tannehill sentiment. You don't have a better option this season. Get over it. Somebody then tweeted me, we aren't even looking for better. We are looking for something new. Instead of betting safe with Tannehill, swing for the fences with an offense built around a young guy. We know it says Timmy's. I assume he meant Tanny's. We know Tanny's limitations. No point in going down that road. Imagine starting a tweet and thinking that you're going to win an argument, or thinking that you have any business in that argument with, quote, we aren't even looking for better. What? What? Is that not, how do you tweet that? How do you even think that? Go to your phone, type that message out, read it before you send it, and then press send thinking, you know what, I just told him. I just showed him exactly what my point was. I got it across, I got it cleanly, I got it crisply. How could anybody argue with my logic? Of course we're not trying to get better. What? That's a fundamental misunderstanding of how football teams operate. Like, I understand some fans want people to tank, or some fans want their team to tank for Caleb Williams, right? I'm sure there's a contingent of you guys that want people to tank, or want your team to tank, because all these different things, you're going to mess around. You're going to win 8 or 9 games. It's not going to be a great draft pick. And then you're stuck in this cycle, right? That's the argument that continues to get sent my way. And that's fine. You can think that. You can think that's the best way to do business. And it's never going to happen with your NFL organization. Never. Because that's not what football teams, football coaches, football players do. None of these guys are going into a season to intentionally tank. Even the teams that were reported to be tanking, that we all thought clearly and obviously were tanking, like the Dolphins. That Dolphins team rattled off a bunch of wins at the end of the season, and Brian Flores was like, bleep you, I'm not tanking for shit. And then sued them. Michael M says, F that. Don't want to see a tank. That's weak sauce. people who are trying to argue with me about the future, I don't give a shit about the future. I don't know why you do. The future is not here. The 2023 season is. If you want to go about your football fandom thinking about the future and not the season that's ahead of you and not the competitiveness of the football team that is about to play in front of you, that you may pay money to go watch or may spend time on your Sundays, Thursdays, Mondays, Black Friday now because they're going to take over every day on the calendar. All these things. Sure, basketball, you see basketball teams play young dudes all the time. Tanking in basketball is real. It's a hell of a lot easier to do in basketball than it is football. You know why? Because there's less players and the ball's shaped in a more normal way. And you don't have things like fumbles. It's so ridiculous. So ridiculous to be one of these people who sits there and talks to me. Oh, but what about the future? That's not what's in the best interest of the future. You don't even give a shit about that? Mike Vrabel, he's trying to win a football game on September, what is it? September 11th, September the 12th, whenever the first game of the season is. It is a fundamental misunderstanding of how football teams go about their business. And while there may be business people who want them to tank, the football people are not in with that same line of thinking. And that's how we'll leave it. It's been a very long show. It's just been a bunch of me rambling, and I'm sorry for that. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. Always a great time to spend some time with you. Radio show is going to be a lot of fun tomorrow. Barrett Sallee of CBS. He's down in Destin for the SEC meetings. Of course, schedule changes coming in the SEC. 8 conference games, 9 conference games. That's something that's being debated with Texas and Oklahoma getting ready to join the conference. I think that it's going to be a great conversation. And obviously, we're going to talk a lot more because we just talked about 2 players of 90 that were out there today. We'll have a lot more OTA observations and ground that we will cover tomorrow from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. Have a great rest of your evening. And I will talk to you either tomorrow at 10 or tomorrow night at 8 p.m. See you guys.
Are you surprised to hear that?
Certainly not. The first year we took it to the limit. And I was in Miami with my new beach house. Well, it was a couple minutes from the beach.
It's been 20 years since then. We haven't been too strong in the last few years.
Oh, we've been strong. We're just playing by the rules. You can't have a newcomer come in and steal the show.